I should start by saying that this is not going to be a rant on how modern music is no good. You know, there's a lot of good music, a lot of great songs being written and recorded today. It's just that many of the artists that are putting out these songs, they kind of fly under the radar, so to speak. Now, at the risk of sounding like an old curmudgeon, I must admit I don't listen to a lot of current mainstream music. I don't really get caught up in the latest music trends. I couldn't really tell you who the popular artists are today. Well, I can tell you some of them, but I'm not going to mention any names. Now, my first love, of course, is classical music. I started out as a classically trained pianist, and I still enjoy listening and playing classical music. I learned to play Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, all these guys. And after a couple of years of piano lessons, I began to learn how to play hymns and gospel songs because I went to church and they knew I played piano and they wanted me to play those songs. I even played some of the early Christian rock that became popular in the 70s. And at the same time, once again, this was the early 70s, I was introduced to popular songs from the 20s all the way through to the 50s and 60s, songs from the great American songbook. My parents bought this book, the Reader's Digest Family Songbook, because they wanted me to be able to play these great songs. And as the musician in the family, I inherited this book, as you can see. And in fact, I have a whole series of them from the Reader's Digest. Now, here's what the editors of this original songbook from 1969 had to say about how they selected the songs it contains. Selecting just the right songs for a well-balanced compendium resulted in a list of 124 songs that constitute virtually an all-time musical hit parade. These are songs that are almost as meaningful to us as pictures in a family album or pages in a diary. We have danced to them, sung them in schools, on birthdays, at picnic sing-alongs, at family reunions, and at all kinds of social events. There is hardly one here that will fail to stir your memory of some long ago happening. So, don't forget, this was written in 1969. Now, the first standard that I learned to play from this book, the book over here, it was Ain't She Sweet. I can even remember the arrangement from the old Reader's Digest songbook. It started out like this. Anyway, I had a lot of fun playing those songs. I really started to discover more of these great old songs when I began playing in a society band in the early 90s. I quickly became aware of the songs that have withstood the test of time. Now, what is it about these old songs? Why did they continue to resonate with people of all ages? Now, I don't know how many of you out there are songwriters, but think about this for a minute. To create a song that stands the test of time is no easy feat. It takes a special combination of talent, creativity, and dedication to craft a song that can remain popular for years to come. A song like that has to be able to transcend generations, cultures, and personal tastes to truly be considered timeless. And that's a challenge that many songwriters and artists strive for, but very few achieve. It may be a symptom of my age, but I find myself drawn to old songs. What do I mean by old? Well, as I mentioned before, I'm talking about songs that go as far back as the teens and the 20s, all the way until the 70s, and even into the early 80s. I kind of lost track of popular music once we entered the 90s. And right now, I can't tell you what songs are currently popular. But what I'd like to do here is give you 5 reasons why old songs are hard to beat. Now, once again, this is not a rant against songs that are coming out today. But this is why you have some songs that withstand the test of time. Or I should say they stand the test of time. People still love them. The first reason is a great many of these old songs are rooted in a sense of authenticity and honesty. They're not trying to fit into a specific mold or follow a particular trend. When I think about the old songs that I know and love, there's a tremendous amount of variety. Some of them are very jazzy. Some of them are very folk-like. So many of the songs that I love do not fit into a specific mold, and they weren't written to follow a trend. The second reason that old songs are unbeatable. Many recently released songs that you might hear on Spotify or some other streaming platform, they're crafted specifically to appeal to a certain demographic or fit into a specific genre. I don't need to go into a lot of detail there, but you can hear a lot of very catchy, superficially appealing songs. They sound really good, but very often they lack the depth and substance that make old songs so beloved. Now, once again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there are no modern songs that are any good, or that none of them will ever become songs that stand the test of time. There are certainly exceptions to this rule. This rule, as I put it in quotes. But unfortunately, many modern songs, they're kind of disposable in a way. They just can't compete with the craftsmanship and the emotional resonance of some of these old standards, the old songs. The third reason old songs are unbeatable, these old songs have a unique ability to evoke powerful emotions and memories in listeners. Even if you're not that old, when you hear an old song, it takes you back to where you first heard it. These songs are often tied to specific moments or experiences in your life, making them feel intensely personal and nostalgic. Maybe there's an old song that reminds you of your first love, your favorite childhood memory. Maybe it reminds you of difficult times in your life when you overcame an obstacle. Old songs that have withstood the test of time, well, they have a way of tapping into your emotions. They transport you back in time. It's a feeling that's hard to describe, but it's one that's deeply rooted in our human experience. These old songs, they make us feel seen, heard, and understood in a way that some modern songs often can't. And this leads me to the fourth reason that old songs are often unbeatable. There is that nostalgia factor. The old songs that we love, they are a tangible connection to our past. They are a reminder of where we've been and how far we've come. You know, there are certain old songs, a lot of them from that old songbook that I showed you, and they remind me of playing these old songs with my dad, who's incidentally, he's still with us, going to be 95 this year. But he loved to play these songs with me. He played drums. He was a very good drummer. And so he would play drums, I'd play piano, and we used to play those old songs together. When I hear my favorite songs from, say, the 60s or the 70s, it reminds me of my childhood, my school days. It even reminds me of my early piano lessons and my desire to play some of these popular songs, which at first I wasn't really allowed to do. I had to practice my Bach, I should say, and Mozart and Beethoven and so on. But I tried to learn a lot of them anyway. The first popular song I tried to learn was Bridge Over Troubled Water. Folks, when they hear an old song, they're reminded of the good old days, the way people used to be, and the memories that they shared with their loved ones. And the fifth reason why old songs are often unbeatable, and that it's something here that speaks to me as a musician. There's something to be said about the way songwriting was done in the past. Many of the old songs that I love, maybe many of the old songs that you love, they have a timeless quality to them, and they often have melodies that stick with you. Sometimes you can just play the tune by itself and you know what song it is. Now, for example, if I play this, you already know what song I'm playing. Sometimes the melody is so familiar, all I have to do is play two notes. And then I keep going. These are great melodies that just stick with you. You can sing them and you can remember them. Now, as a trained musician, I often pay attention to things like the chord progression. You might hear a song like this. It's an amazing chord progression, probably one that I will analyze in a future video. And a lot of times these classic songs can be reharmonized with different chords and different arrangements. There are countless ways that you can play it, and it's always the melody that's holding it together. Now, the lyrics to many of these great old songs that people love are both poetic and relatable. Songs are not trying to be overly complicated or experimental. They're just honest, heartfelt, and authentic. And that's what makes them so endearing and enduring. And think about all the artists, all the contemporary artists, or at least people that you know that are still around. And they've gone back to these old songs. I remember when Linda Ronstadt, who was a popular singer, she did a whole series of albums of standards with Nelson Riddle as the arranger. Rod Stewart had a very successful series of Great American Songbook albums. Even Bob Dylan put out an album of standards. Ringo Starr put out an album of old songs, songs that he remembered when he was growing up in the 1940s. These old songs have a timeless appeal that transcends generations, cultures, and personal tastes. There's a lot of young folks today who love these old songs, even though they weren't born when they were first coming out. These songs are a reflection of our shared human experience with all its joys, sorrows, and complexities. Whether it's the melodies, the lyrics, or the memories they evoke, old songs have a way of touching our hearts and souls in a way that some modern songs cannot. What are your favorite old songs? Might be songs that came out way before you were born. Or maybe you're an old guy like me and you remember these songs from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Well, leave those in the comment section for me. I'd like to know what songs for you have stood the test of time, songs that you remember, songs that evoke memories, that take you back in time, songs that you never get tired of listening to. Let me know. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say. Thanks again for watching. Remember, I wasn't ranting about modern songs because there's a lot of good ones out there. You just have to look for them. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That helps the channel a lot. If you'd like to support my work, you can go to my Patreon page. I'll leave the link right at the top of the description. So thank you again for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.